Alright, Joe here, welcome back to We Need to Talk. Of course, this is the show that looks at football on the internet over what would usually be the past 7 days, but we did one of these on Friday, so it's like the past 3 days, something like that. Anyway, it's been 3 days that's seen Sergio Ramos proving he should probably be a striker. Adebayo Akinfenwa getting a very special call after getting promoted.
I watched the game and here we go. Congratulations.
And Manchester City fans fighting back against the naysayers.
For all these people have called us cheats, I'd just like to say, do one.
Anyway, today we're talking about FFP. Right then, by now you lot at home will have seen that Manchester City successfully appealed to the Court of Arbitration for Sport to get their 2-year Champions League ban that was handed to them by UEFA overturned. But this isn't the first time a big club has defeated UEFA and slipped out of the FFP net. I mean, Gary Neville said as much back in March that FFP at this stage is in shambles.
I have a real problem with FFP to start with. I have done, to be fair, for 7 or 8 years. I don't think it's the right way to apply it. I think City will beat UEFA. I think UEFA, I've got no faith in them whatsoever. I think essentially they're a hopeless organisation.
Gary is not alone either. Yesterday, RIP FFP was trending on Twitter and many influential people, were claiming it is all but dead. But is it actually dead? And how has it gone so wrong for UEFA? Well, today I'm going to quickly run down some of the incidents that have seen sides get one over UEFA in recent years and what has been now numerous failings for FFP. But before I get into that, some people might well be confused as to what financial fair play actually is. So here is the much more intelligent, I think it's fair to say, Patrick Van Straten to explain a little more.
Financial fair play was introduced in 2011 by UEFA, and essentially it requires European football clubs to open their books to football's administrators. Essentially, this is a way of proving to football's governing bodies that they can pay players, staff, other clubs, tax authorities, anybody they owe money to, using legitimate sources of revenue. So that's commercial, ticket revenue, sporting revenue, so that's prize money from various competitions, and of course, television money. And there are 2 extra effects of it. One is to avoid cash-rich owners buying a club and pumping money into it. This is what Arsene Wenger called financial doping. And the secondary effect is preventing leveraged buyouts. Now, a leveraged buyout is when a corporation or an individual borrows a huge amount of money so they can purchase a club, knowing that once they have purchased the club, they can use the club's revenue to pay back the people they owe.
So why are UEFA in the mud? Well, as I said earlier, big clubs just keep on getting one over on them in the courts. Take, for example, AC Milan. Now, back in 2018, AC Milan were banned from European competition after breaching FFP. UEFA issued the punishment after deciding that Milan had breached FFP requirement by spending 200 million quid on transfers. Not that it did them any good. Obviously, AC Milan weren't having it at all. They appealed to the Court of Arbitration for Sport and, unsurprisingly, they won. CAS said, while UEFA were correct in ruling that Milan had failed to meet the break-even requirement, some important elements had not been properly assessed or could not be properly assessed when the decision was made. Big clubs won, UEFA nil. Fast forward to UEFA versus PSG. Back in 2018, UEFA accused PSG of a dodgy sponsorship deal in which they took 120 million euros from the Qatari Tourism Authority. UEFA claimed that this was a massively inflated fee, way above market value, and mainly down to the fact that the Qatari owners also had ties within the Qatari government, which had ties within the Qatari Tourism Authority. This effectively meant that they'd found a loophole in the FFP system in which they could put money into the club using sponsorship deals with sponsors that they already had ties to. It's all getting a bit complex. However, UEFA then closed the case themselves, before 9 days later then deciding, hang on, we might have made a mistake there, and deciding they were going to review it. PSG were obviously having absolutely none of that. They took UEFA to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, claiming that the case had been closed, to which CAS agreed with PSG, an absolute howler by UEFA. Big clubs 2, UEFA 0. That brings us nicely to this week, and you'll all remember that Manchester City were banned from the Champions League for 2 seasons and fined £25 million for what UEFA deemed serious breaches of FFP regulations between 2012 and 2016 back in February. The breaches alleged that the club's Abu Dhabi owners had inflated sponsorship agreements in order to comply with those FFP regulations. Where have we heard that before? Oh yeah, PSG. And let's not forget that Man City failed to comply with UEFA at any stage during the investigation, which really got the authorities back up. But you already know that this one didn't end well for UEFA either. The Court of Arbitration for Sports, obviously you're hearing a lot about them at the moment, ruled in Manchester City's favour, stating very clearly that Man City FC did not disguise equity funding as sponsorship contributions. Big clubs 3, UEFA 0. They are fully in the mud. So we've got big clubs walking all over UEFA. We've got RIP FFP trending on Twitter. The credibility of the FFP system is lying in tatters. And Gary Neville, who you might remember early, successfully predicted that UEFA would lose this one, laid bare some home truths before the Manchester United-Southampton game last night.
UEFA can't get a simple disciplinary hearing right. We know that for years and years, and they're certainly not going to be able to get something right that's complex. I said it months ago. They're an organisation which I think ultimately is transitioning away from what it has been in the past, and this is I suppose in some ways a hangover from something that started a few years ago. But it's not surprising today that in a serious court that Manchester City have won this case, because UEFA are an organisation who simply can't organise their own disciplinary measures.
I mean, at this stage, when UEFA can't get their own disciplinary proceedings right, surely adaptations are going to have to be made. Because in their statement, UEFA still made it abundantly clear that they believe in FFP and would not be binning it. I mean, their own president, Alexander Ceferin, even said back in March they were going to have to make changes.
Is financial fair play in its current form fit for purpose?
Depends what is purpose. It was established to stop the losses in the European football, and it was successful. But in the future, I think we will have to adopt it. We will have to change some things. We are already discussing about it. It's a bit too early to share it with you. But maybe we should modernize, we should go next step. But when it will happen, I don't think very soon. We will not even discuss concretely what the ideas are before the Euro.
Does the fact that you're looking at changes suggest that mistakes have been made?
I don't know if mistakes have been made. Probably yes, everywhere mistakes have been made. Even I did mistakes. It's not that we are changing something because it's not working, but for competitive balance, probably we would need more and different measures.
So overall, you can see that in its current form, it's no surprise that many have been left wondering, what is the point of it? What kind of deterrent are the current regulations when big clubs with significant resources can walk all over UEFA, as Manchester City and PSG have done over the last few years? So despite RIP FFP trending on Twitter, that's probably not going to happen. Financial fair play is here to stay, but expect some major changes over the next few months, because at the moment, it's a shambles. Alright, so that's it for today's episode of We Need to Talk. I know it's random coming to you on a Tuesday, but I just felt like this news was so big, it was a prime We Need to Talk title. Why not go and check out our other We Need to Talks? On Friday I was ranking Wonder Kids. A lot of people pissed off I didn't mention any Chelsea players in that. My bad. Totally forgot about the Blues. Nevertheless, thanks very much for watching. We'll see you later.